By the leave of the Heavenly Father, certain selected members of humanity have been granted the ability to reason and judge situations and people in a fair and balanced manner. These individuals use this gift to govern creation according to the orderly designs of the Most High Heavenly Father. Among these great saints are Harriet Tubman, Miriam Makeba, Marcus Mushagarvey, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Mahatma Gandhi, Dr. Pedro Campos, and Malcolm X. All of them work to guide humanity on its journey back to the bosom of the Most High. The guardian angelic hosts, as children of Ana'i, became recognized as ancient masters. They established the precepts, principles, procedures of conduct, codes, and standards for all creation, including the regulation of the heartbeat, a vital rhythm that sustains life without conscious effort. The mascot of the church, university, and Mamazi birth centers of the guardian angelic host Bes is the leopard. Its fierce facial features mirror the mask worn by Bes, symbolically warding off disorderly spiritual forces. Like all feline species, the leopard can perceive things that humanity often overlooks or cannot see. The element nickel, a silvery white, lustrous mineral, exists in the human body in minute amounts, activating certain enzymes that promote biochemical reactions. Nickel also helps stabilize chromosomal material within the nucleus of cells. It contributes to the growth of beans and other plants and animals, is present in Earth's iron-nickel molten core, and today is used to make cutlery. Ya Bes, we thank you for your protection and inspiration in a world often overrun by illusions. Another guardian angelic host, Tar, is recognized as the original creator who existed before the primordial waters of Nuak, the light of the etheric abode. In Egypt, Ha'i, also known as Hu or Uwa, was the personification of utterance, the creative power through which Ptah, the guardian angelic host of technology and creator of the physical world, performed his work. Tar is honored as the guardian angel of all Tamarayan, ancient African, craftsmen, the originator of sacred skills and creative knowledge. Historical records on the angelic mysteries document that Tar invented 281 methods and techniques, which were later adopted by craftsmen, including both speculative and operative masons. At the Kanesa and University of Tar, the highest-ranking instructor and priest reflected Tar's status as an earth guardian angelic host with a direct connection to the underworld. The guardian angel Tar is symbolically represented by a physical figure wrapped like a mummy, leaving his hands free of bandages. He wields the Wa shepherd's scepter and the Ku shepherd's rod, symbols of domination, alongside the Died pillar, representing stability, and the Ankh, symbolizing eternal life. As a solar, or sun guardian angelic host, he is referred to as Tar, the disk of heaven, illuminating the world with the fire of his eyes. In the Mitu Neter, coming forth by day, he is said to have opened the mouths of the deceased with the same tool he used for the guardians themselves. Consequently, he is often depicted as a mummy standing upon the scales of Ma'at, holding a scepter topped with symbols of power, life, and stability, with the Manat necklace hanging from the back of his neck. Ptah, the creator whose center of worship was Het Ka-Ta, house of the soul of Ptah, also called Memphis, was known as the elf guardian angelic host, originating from the original Pygmy tribe. He was united with Tanan, or Tachanan, the earth giant akin to Geb. Through this union, the dwarfish guardian angelic host assumed gigantic proportions, becoming a world guardian angelic host or great father. Hymns to Ptah Ta Nen describe him as having his head in the heavens and his feet on the earth or in Duat, the underworld. He was praised as a perfect guardian angelic host, complete in all aspects. Unlike Re, Ptah did not emerge from the primordial waters but built his body and shaped his limbs independently, beginning alone. Reciting Ya Tar 24 times before making a decision is said to grant the ability to choose the correct course of action with the best possible outcome. Similarly, the attribute Al-Adlu, the just reflects that the Heavenly One and his children, the Netaru, are righteous and fair in all judgments. Notably, the word just forms the root of justice, represented by the balanced scale. Justice ensures order, rather than chaos, governs the universe. The creation of the universe could not have been accidental, for it contains Ma'at, order, within the Nun, chaos. The principle of Al-Adlu encourages humanity to act justly toward one another in all affairs. Just as the mercy of the Naturu Elohim is extended from the smallest to the greatest, all are given the chance to repent and make amends for wrongdoings. True fairness, ethical correctness, and justice are inseparably linked, forming the foundation for harmony and balance in the universe. If you choose to write the name Al-Adlu on 20 pieces of Shabbat bread on a Friday and consume this bread over the next 3 days, all of creation will be made submissive toward you. Equally important for the understanding of humanity is the recognition that copper compounds, and even powdered copper metal, were used by the Tamarayans, ancient Africans, as far back as 7000 BC to treat eye diseases. Copper beads discovered in Sumeria, ancient Kushite Babylon, are more than 10,000 years old, demonstrating the long-standing significance of this metal. The copper element associated with this angelic guardian is an excellent conductor of heat, making it ideal for pans, kettles, and boilers. It is also highly suitable for electrical wiring because it can be drawn into fine wires. The Tamarayan blacksmiths, following the order of Tar, also used bronze, a combination of copper and tin, to create weapons for hunting and protection. Ya Tar, we remain ever open to your divine presence in our lives, for which we are eternally grateful. The names of the angelic hosts Bast and Best both signify fire, representing various aspects of this element. The fire of the guardian angel Bast symbolizes desire, as she was considered the mistress of plenty and pleasure. Desire, like her symbol, the cat, is subtle yet fleeting in how it captures attention. Humanity must remain ever aware of the power of desire and its influence. The university, Kanesa, and laboratories of Bast, or Bastet, were originally represented by a lioness as the female guardian angelic host. Over time, she became more closely associated with the domesticated cat, serving as a gentler counterpart to the lion Sakmat. The cat was her symbol and was valued for its ability to catch snakes, which were dangerous to those working in the fields of Tamari, ancient Africa. The snake represented Apophis, the enemy of the sun guardian host Re, making cats sacred to the solar guardian angelic host. In the markings on a cat's head, the Tamarayan saw the image of the scarab beetle, symbolizing the rising sun. The eyes of cats, changing with the sun's movement, further reinforced their sacred nature. Bastet personified the gentle, fructifying heat of the sun, in contrast to the harsher sun heat represented by Sekhet. Cats were thus sacred to Bast, and her mascot often appeared with a cat's head, especially in her most famous cult center, the city of Bubastis, known today as Tel Basta in the Nile Delta. If you choose to recite Ya Bast 23 times a day, you will gain the power to prevent your desires from overcoming you. The attribute associated with Bast, Al-Latifu, the subtle, when invoked, provides more than what is necessary for survival while demanding less than what a mortal can offer. The Most High acts with subtlety, bringing things into being with precise attention to every detail. To be subtle is to understand the delicate meanings behind all things. The Most High has made the attainment of happiness within eternity possible through minimal effort during a human lifespan, which can never fully compare to eternity. This knowledge is subtle. The subtle ones defy simple definition because they have made their servants repositories of divine wisdom, entrusted with sacred knowledge, and witnesses of the realm of the divine throne. By reciting Al-Latifu 133 times daily, you will receive great sustenance, and your tasks will be accomplished with ease. Additionally, reciting Al-Latifu 100 times after performing 2 prostrations in any of the 3 original Tamarayan, ancient African, obligatory supplications will bring your desires to fulfillment. Zinc, though subtle in our daily diet, is an essential trace element necessary for normal growth, development of reproductive organs, proper functioning of the prostate gland, wound healing, and the production of proteins and nucleic acids. It regulates the activity of over 100 enzymes and supports the function of the hormone insulin. Zinc deficiency can result in impaired taste, loss of appetite, and other health issues. Zinc is also used in treating scalp and skin disorders, including eczema, bed sores, diaper rash, and as a protective agent against UV rays. It is non-toxic and essential for humans, animals, and plants, protecting them from drought and disease. In humans, zinc concentrations are highest in the eyes, prostate, muscles, kidneys, and liver. Semen contains significant levels of zinc, which plays a critical role in fertility, growth, development, longevity, and immune function. Zinc also activates parts of the brain responsible for taste and smell. Foods rich in zinc include sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, and brewer's yeast. We are grateful that in subtlety, this element has been provided and all its many purposes revealed. Imhotep was a guardian angelic host whose lineage encompassed both celestial and terrestrial angelic origins. He descended from a lineage of humans who interbred with a specific class of angelic beings known as the Duwanis, originating from Sibtu, Sirius. The Duwanis were one of the 9 classes of angelic beings who came down to earth from the heavens. According to the Book of Those Who Reside in the Earth, 16:4 193-197, the Dunakil and the Duwanis were related to the Nubian peoples, manifesting in forms such as the Watusi and Pygmy. These angelic human hybrids produced descendants including the great master Imhotep, who himself was a diminutive figure, the product of his ancestors interbreeding with the original Pygmy populations. During a meteorite shower approximately 2,250,000 years ago, at the end of the 4th sun cycle, the Pygmies sought refuge in the caverns beneath waterfalls and later settled in the great city of Shambhala. Contrary to many historical assertions by scholars, both religious and secular, The guardian angelic host Imhotep was not a student of Zoser, but rather his teacher. Imhotep, a true Terret being and member of the Nubian Melanonite lineage, possessed in his DNA and intellect all the knowledge required to calculate the precise dimensions for the construction of the Grand Khanesa, commonly known today as the Step Pyramid or Pyramid of Saqqara. Individuals of this original lineage carried the title or name Tar as part of their identity. Through his teachings, Imhotep revealed to the world the knowledge and spiritual power held by the ancient Nubian Melanonites. He also perfected the Tamaraic scripts, which documented the lifestyle and cultural practices of the people of his era. Furthermore, Imhotep provided the formula for grafting the pig to Zoser, an innovation in Tamaraian, ancient African, Ab-Recom practices, from which the Greco-Romanized Abraham figure in biblical tradition was later derived and adapted to fit Greco-Roman beliefs. In the field of medicine, the Tamaraian surpassed all other contemporary cultures, largely due to the influence of Imhotep. He led a university, church, and laboratory where he served as head physician, known as Sunu, and was revered as the leading researcher and professor of medicine, as well as the father of chemistry. The modern medical oath, often attributed to Hippocrates, originally invoked Imhotep's name. The Greeks, Romans, and Canaanite Babylonians acquired their foundational medical knowledge from him. His medical writings are the oldest known documents of their kind, and their significance led to their appropriation from Tamari, ancient Africa, with many currently held at Karl Marx University in Leipzig. Imhotep authored over 10 volumes of medical treatments, diets, and remedies more than 4,000 years before the birth of any Greco-Roman figures. His works, which emphasized herbal medicine and harmony with nature, reflect the deep connection that he and all Nubian Melanonites had with the Neteru, divine forces of nature. The guardian angelic host Imhotep, together with his student priestesses and priests known as the Sesh, scribes, is credited with producing the text known today as the Ebers Papyrus. This manuscript, extending 65 feet in length and organized into 108 numbered columns, contains nearly 900 prescriptions and diagnoses. It is the most extensive surviving medical document from the ancient world, representing a vast treasury of information and knowledge. Through the Ebers Papyrus, Imhotep and his circle conveyed detailed insights into diseases, treatments, medicinal preparations, and even the role of incantations and charms. Unlike many neighboring traditions of the Near East, the priestesses and priests of Tamari, ancient Africa, understood that illness was not caused by hostile deities or evil spirits. Instead, they practiced genuine medicine grounded in observation, diagnosis, and application of remedies. Their reputation extended far beyond their homeland, for they were known to travel widely, including to Persia, Babylon, and Assyria, bringing healing practices to diverse peoples. The foundations of what is now called modern medicine can be traced directly to these Tamaraian contributions. In addition to his medical legacy, Imhotep contributed to the science of timekeeping. His knowledge was instrumental in formulating one of the two ancient calendars of pre-dynastic Tamari. This calendar comprised a cycle of 360 days, 12 months of 30 days each. Imhotep is said to have received this system from the master angelic host Melchizedek, Tahuti, whose sacred calendar consisted of 19 months of 19 days each, totaling 361 days. As a great Nubian Melanonite pygmy guardian angelic host, Imhotep brought profound awareness to the world through his elevated consciousness. In Tamari, those who advanced within the rite of sacred societies were instructed in the sacred degree known as Nazarian. Within this rite, initiates learned that Imhotep is also called Ufil Hamid. The title Al-Hamid, the praiseworthy, corresponds to the 56th attribute, aligned with the 56th Neteru Tahuti. Thus, Imhotep stood as both student and high priest in the ancient order of the ancients, after the pattern of Melchizedek, Tahuti, servant of Tahuti, the one worthy of praise. Within the Nazarian teachings, the attribute Al-Kabiru, the aware, reflects a unique kind of knowledge. The guardian angelic hosts, as children of the Most High, are said to be deeply aware of the conditions of all beings. The Book of the High Priest Malik Zodok, 19:6-19-23, affirms the existence of psychic powers, maintained by those who keep the Akashic records, a cosmic log of all that occurs across the planets. This principle functions in harmony with another attribute, Al-Alimu, the knower. Through these attributes, the Most High, Anae-Re, is understood to be aware of both external and internal qualities of creation. Only the Most High fully knows what has been and what will be, and this divine awareness allows the angelic hosts to perceive the inner workings of mind, spirit, emotion, and body. For this reason, judgment rests more upon one's intentions than upon external actions or deeds. Believers are thus counseled to remain constantly mindful of the power of thought and the emotions of the heart. Those who seek deeper comprehension of the sacred angelic mysteries of Tamari are advised to recite the attribute Al-Kabiru continually for 7 days. In doing so, they may open themselves to greater awareness and divine insight. If you carry bad habits that you wish to remove from your character, and you continuously repeat the sacred name during both the day and the shadow hour, you will be freed from these habits. In the same way, the angelic host Imhotep and his congregation of students, priestesses, and priests worked with the element now known as Gallium. This element is recognized for its ability to stimulate metabolism, yet it also holds deeper mysteries. Modern chemists and physicists, whose knowledge ultimately descends from the mystery angelic schools of Imhotep, remain fascinated by gallium because of its unusual properties. It can trap free electrons on the surface of its crystals, confining them to a small area. Normally, electrons are the mobile component of matter, but in this frozen state they are referred to as quantum dots. Imhotep's profound understanding of this principle granted him the awareness to calculate formulas spanning medicine, architecture, and calendars, revealing the unity of science and spirit. Here lies a long-kept Tamarayan, ancient African, secret that modern scientists often overlook concerning gallium. Garlic, a powerful natural healing substance, contains an amino acid derivative called alliin, which releases the enzyme allinase. Strikingly, the word gallium shares its root with allium, the botanical name for garlic. This linguistic and chemical connection was no coincidence. The doctors of Tamari understood gallium's true purpose, a truth still sought by modern science. For this knowledge, we give thanks to Imhotep, whose works birthed wisdom far beyond the boundaries of his time. In the Tamaraic language, the tongue of the ancient Africans, the word for scribe is sesh. From this word comes the Arabic shash, meaning turban, which the Greco-Romans later adapted into their word sash. In Tamari, scribes wore a sash as a symbol of keeping sacred secrets within the vault of the heart. The sash also represented membership in the sacred society of scribes, connected to the great institutions of Saqqara, universities, churches, research laboratories, and hospitals. This sacred society of scribes maintained a celestial link to the constellation Sahu, Orion, depicted as a standing man wearing a sash, the same feature known today as Orion's belt, draped across his shoulder. The sash, also understood as a girdle, bound the wearer into cosmic knowledge. Another title for scribes was Mustaqatib, meaning keeper of the Katib, the records, texts, books, and parchments that preserve truth. Their duty was to ensure doctrines remained precise, accurate, and able to withstand the tests of time. Much of their work was aligned with the celestial presence of Sahu and the guardian angelic hosts who were linked to Sahu and Sibtu, Sirius. Both male and female scribes bore the sash as a sign that they knew the secrets of the stars and their connection to human destiny, a sacred science known as solar biology. When asked what the sash worn across the chest symbolized, the answer is rooted in the lesser Tamarayan, ancient African, angelic mysteries. The heart was, and remains, the seat of human emotions, for it is directly connected to the solar plexus, the smokeless fire. Because the emotions are easily stirred by lust, anger, desire, hatred, happiness, hunger, or longing, people can become unpredictable. For this reason, disciples and sages of the sacred societies were required to prove mastery over their emotional nature. They were encouraged to fast, to live modest lives, to care for the poor, to study sacred writings, and to engage in sexual activity only out of necessity, never out of lust. In ancient times, members were often tested in subtle ways. Masters might spread doubt or gossip about them, waiting to see how they would respond. If the disciple reacted with betrayal and revealed secrets, they proved themselves unworthy. But those who endured patiently, recognizing the trial as a test, earned the right to enter into the deeper knowledge of the greater Tamarayan angelic mysteries. Such practices continue in various forms even today. Scribes, or sesh, received their education primarily in universities that were linked to or housed within the Kanisa, church, complexes. They played a role similar to professors in modern universities, responsible for teaching, composing, and copying sacred and literary parchments. They also maintained extensive records, documenting births, deaths, prophecies, paths to success, medical practices, and alchemical formulas. In this way, scribes became central figures in the intellectual and spiritual life of their communities. The guardian angelic being assigned to scribes was Tahuti, often symbolized by the baboon or ibis. Alongside him stood a feminine counterpart, the angelic guardian Seshet, who embodied the principle of writing and the passage of time. Seshet was depicted as a woman clothed in panther skin and adorned with a seven-pointed star, a bow, or at times two serpents upon her head. She was intimately connected with measurement, for all things that exist, being born, living, dying, and resurrecting, do so according to the appointed measures of time and age. Depictions and statues of scribes typically show them seated in the lotus position, with legs crossed. This was more than a posture, it symbolized rebirth. As children of a Naya-Ray, scribes were seen as being born from the bud of the lotus, initiated into the mysteries of one of the sub-rites of the Assyrian Wasetian society, for whom the lotus plant was the sacred emblem. The lotus plant was revered because it closed during the shadow hours, sinking beneath the water, only to rise and bloom again with the rising sun. This daily cycle made it a powerful symbol of creation and rebirth. For this reason, scribes were often depicted holding a papyrus scroll across their lap, dressed in a starched kilt or apron symbolizing fertility and the union of mental and physical potency. Writing itself was considered sacred in Tamarayan, ancient African, culture. The very word for hieroglyphs, medonetter, the words of the guardians, reveals that inscriptions were not simply marks, but divine messages. When asked how humanity can communicate with the guardian angels using knowledge of the elements and attributes, the answer begins with the body itself. The human form functions through electrical impulses. Every conscious or unconscious movement depends on thousands of electrically charged ions stimulating the dendrites, the endings of nerve cells, which number in the millions. The nervous system contains not only the known pathways of sensation and movement but also occult nerves, located within the spinal column and brain, which activate only under certain conditions. The brain itself is the central organ of electrical charge. By understanding the body and its anatomy, humanity comes closer to communicating with the celestial and terrestrial guardian angelic hosts. These beings are in tune with us genetically, waiting for us to rise to the mental and spiritual level where true contact is possible. In this sense, self-knowledge is the key to divine communication. Two examples of the brain's hidden powers demonstrate this potential. First, the brain can attune itself to subtle energy waves that constantly move through the atmosphere. Second, it can transmit and receive messages directly from another brain, a phenomenon known as telepathy, seeing, feeling, or knowing what another person is thinking or experiencing. The brain functions much like a CB radio unit. Even when receivers are separated by miles, they can tune into the same frequency and exchange messages through energy currents. Likewise, communication can occur between mortal beings and immortal angelic hosts when the mind is properly trained and receptive. To achieve this, one must learn to channel inner energy, raise consciousness, and live as a receptive and conscience-driven member of humanity. Energy currents flow not only within the body but also throughout the surrounding environment, influencing us physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. The mind reflects and processes all of these dimensions, in varying degrees of potency, making it the bridge between the earthly and the divine. Every shift in the human frame of mind generates energy that radiates into the surrounding environment. Emotions such as anger, joy, or sadness each release unique energetic currents. This occurs because the body constantly interacts with free particles of ether in the atmosphere, drawing them inward. The speed and vibration of these etheric particles are influenced by the mind's wavelengths, which fluctuate according to one's moods. When these particles move and rub against each other, they create friction that produces colors. These colors are called tepi-hesp, the spectrum of the aura, or energy sphere, that surrounds each person. The aura can expand and even encompass others within its field of influence. This explains why, upon entering a room, one can immediately sense the vibe of another individual, whether it be joy, lust, hatred, or anger. Once humanity fully understands this, the challenge becomes learning how to shield oneself from unbalanced forces while remaining open to balanced ones, thereby cultivating inner harmony and teaching others to live in peace. The tepi-hesp, often called the aura, is the energetic atmosphere of the body. It reflects the true energy body and reveals one's health, mood, and character. A pure mind and clear thoughts result in a brighter aura, while disturbances in consciousness can dim its light. The colors of the aura shift due to subtle forces within the body. The spinal column has a spiritual counterpart linked to the sympathetic nervous system, which resonates with the body's electromagnetic field. This field is energized by Arush, the inner seats of power within the body, known also as Kaukab or chakras. These seats draw in etheric particles of black, manifested as green, light, converting them into the radiant colors that form the aura. As the vibrational rate of these seats changes, the aura's colors shift accordingly. The rhythm of these changes differs between women and men. Women, in varying degrees of genetic potency, tend to experience more frequent shifts in their aura because of their connection to Mother Earth. They are attuned to planetary movements and lunar cycles, governed by Earth's centrifugal force, which shapes biorhythms. Men, on the other hand, are more directly influenced by the centripetal forces emitted by the wider universe. Together, these cosmic and earthly influences allow the colors of the aura to appear and disappear in rhythmic motion, mirroring the cycles of life itself. The tepi-hesp, or aura, is formed by two streams of energy, one positive and the other negative. These currents flow through the human body, generating a magnetic field that surrounds and protects it. Although part of Earth's magnetic field, the aura moves with its own rhythm, composed of vibrating energies and polarity forces that sustain life itself. These opposing currents mirror the universal balance of Ma'at, the principle of order, which locks all things, whether a cell's nucleus or the solar system, into harmony through the interplay of positive and negative forces. The positive current, Hu, corresponds to the masculine, centripetal force, pulling, sending, and directing energy. The negative current, He, corresponds to the feminine, centrifugal force, pushing, receiving, and nurturing energy. In ancient times these were recognized as the forces of heaven and earth, reflected in the very construction of male and female bodies. Both forces are present not only in air and water but within all matter, interwoven into the fabric of existence. Hu is the masculine polarity within the creative force of will, known as He-Vir, the eternal breath, the wind that proceeds outward from every being. When Hu acts in harmony with He, life is animated and sustained. Together, they grant every form of existence, whether universe, galaxy, planet, person, animal, or even the smallest particle of life, the will to be. To understand this, one must realize that Hu is among the original creative forces at the foundation of the master plan, which gave rise to countless universes, galaxies, solar systems, and worlds, including the Earth. This macrocosmic force originates outside of humanity's limited concept of time, yet it also manifests within humanity itself as a microcosmic reflection of divine power. Thus Hu is both eternal and immediate, the breath of creation that exists within and beyond us. The sacred records of Autumn remind us that life began with a single impulse, to be. With that thought, existence emerged, and creation took form through the will of He, as Hu, the creative force of will, who entrusted the governance of this side of the universe to Re, highest of the Sem. Life, then, is no accident but part of a master design, unfolding through countless experiments and manifestations across time and space. In ancient Tamari, Egypt, Hu was also regarded as the personification of utterance, the sacred word or tone. The guardian angelic host Ptah, revered as creator of the physical world and master of divine technology, employed Hu as the vibration and pulsation that brought matter into form. Hu was the voice of creation, the living breath within which all existence arises.